Addicted to this pain now. Oh.
Welcome to my channel. I'm so shy. Welcome to my channel. So today's video is the first in like a murder mystery series I want to do, or like a crime type thing series that I want to do. I decided to do this video because I really like watching videos like this. I really like watching videos like this. Yeah, I'm such a like crime person. So I watch like investigation discovery. This is my intro. This is long. I started looking into Zambian cases and I saw that there was like very little information out there. So I decided to compile from different sources. I went to the museum for this video. So I feel like we would like to know what's going on over here. Who be killing in our streets. I'm gonna compile articles and stuff from different places, put it into one video and talk about it. So today's video is about the Mailoni Brothers. If you are Zambian, have lived in Zambia, you've probably heard of them. Yeah, so just kidding. The Mailoni Brothers were essentially three brothers who lived in the Luano Valley, specifically an area called Chimika in Central Province. When I looked at the map, it was showing like it was slightly in Lusaka Province, but then I was looking for Luano Valley, so I'll see if I can insert like a screenshot. I think the Luano Valley goes like through Lusaka and Central Province, but like essentially when you speak about Luano Valley, it's in Central Province, so we'll just say that. So these brothers were a lot. They killed a lot of people. What these brothers were doing was extremely like weird, because if you know Zambia, it's like known for its peace and nothing weird goes on here. You can walk on the street at any time. Well, lucky, but like it's safe. It's a safe place, and especially in like villages and the more rural areas, because everybody knows everybody. It's tiny, so like there's very little you can get away with. So things like this don't really happen here. We don't have serial killers. Like we'll have the occasional like shot someone, but like it's not that deep. These brothers terrorized the Luano Valley for 7 years. This was between 2006 and 2013. So many people were living in fear. A lot of people migrated. It said that about 700 people were displaced. People left the area because they were scared of getting killed. Like people were living in fear in the area. The area became hunger stricken because basically, if you know about rural areas here, villages or whatever, they live off of like farming and fishing and hunting. So because people were scared to go outside, these people couldn't grow their food or catch their food or whatever. Yeah, the place became hunger stricken. People were fleeing. Like I said, some sources say 700, some say 750, but in that range, about that many people had to leave, and they fled to like, they say the plateau. I don't know. People had to like leave. There was one school in the area, and the school became deserted because people were scared, obviously, to send. If you can't come out to catch your food, you're not gonna send your kid out to like go to school. Yeah, the school was nearly deserted. People stopped going to school. People stopped sending their kids to school rather, and at some point the only way the kids would get to school was when they sent like the army and the police and armed forces and whatnot to the area to guard the people. The army would literally walk the kids to school. The kids would learn and they would walk the kids back home every day, and that's the only way they could go to school, because without that it was so bad. In one of the sources I read, I think I read this at the museum, it said that, so you know how in rural areas your bathroom and toilet or whatnot, your latrine is outside, like it's not in your main house or hut or whatever. So if you want to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you have to come outside. People were scared to go to their bathroom at night. Like, I wonder what you would do if it like catches you. But like they would literally be scared to go to the bathroom in the night because like it became very unbearable for these people. They couldn't go fetch water, couldn't go to the bathroom, couldn't go to school, couldn't farm, couldn't fish, couldn't imagine being hungry. You can't even go to the bathroom in peace. Like they were in a living hell basically. So let's get into like the family of the Mailoni brothers. Their father was a man named Mailoni Chipokolo, and their mom was called Janet Njimu. Mailoni and Janet had a total of 8 children, 2 girls, 6 boys, Christine and Nira. And then the boys were Friday, Nelson, Sunday. These were the other brothers who weren't murderers. The murderers were Mika, Stefano, and Fabiano. Fabiano was nicknamed Tunda. So if you hear me say Tunda in this, it was Fabiano or Fabian. Some places call him Fabian, some places call him Fabiano. Yeah. So the Mailonis or the Chipokolos, you see, I'm not understanding because they say their dad's name was Mailoni Chipokolo, but they were called the Mailoni Brothers. So I'm assuming that the father's first name was Chipokolo, and then his last name was Mailoni. Anyway, yeah, the Mailonis were Christians. They went to a Catholic church called Saint Francis. When you look into the case of the Mailoni brothers, there is very little information about the actual like cases or the actual people they killed or how the cases went. I think it's because they had a certain MO where they would just go steal from you and kill you. So the only case that has a name of the victim and an actual like explanation on how it happened was the first case. So the first case took place on the 21st of May 2007. The incident was over bananas. So they went to like rob, or it says they ransacked a farm of a name called of a man called Roy Mondoka. Roy Mondoka was the father of a woman called Edna. Edna was Tunda's wife. Remember, Tunda is Fabiano's wife's dad. So Fabiano's father-in-law. So they went to Fabiano's father-in-law's farm and stole bananas. So afterwards, he decides to confront them. He went to their mother's house where they used to live and confronted them. After the confrontation, they went to his house. This was during the day, broad daylight, and they killed him with a spear. After this first incident, they went on to commit a series of murders in the 7 years that they were terrorizing the Luano Valley. They killed a total of 12 people, according to most sources. Some say 11. They had 10 survivors in that time. And apparently one of the survivors was Tunda's wife, Tunda or Fabiano, his wife, Edna. She claims that he tried to kill her before or whatever. She's now married. I don't know if she's still alive. Probably. She's now married to somebody else, and she gave some sort of an account on like what he used to do, but we'll get into that later. When the murders got very bad, like when the issue became very bad, opposition leaders and just people in general were questioning if the government is doing anything about what was happening. The government was under a lot of pressure. That's how they decided to send the army and the police and whatever to the area to try and look for them. But these men managed to evade them the whole time. So there was a question of whether they used witchcraft or not, or if they were just like masters of their environment in a way. Because like I said, there's not a lot of like crime that happens in rural areas because it's tiny. Everybody knows everybody. It's hard to run away, you know, like most villages are small, very tight-knit. So how? And then when they were on the run, they weren't home, they were like in the bush. So now, how did they manage in the bush for all that time? So that's why people brought up witchcraft. But then a lot of people were just like, no, they were good at the environment, that were masters of their environment, so they managed to live in the bush. We'll get into the witchcraft theory after, because I feel like I should put it in theories because it's not that practical. Yeah. When the government became frustrated with how well these brothers were evading them, they put up a 50,000 kwacha reward for any information that would lead up to the capture of these men. Finally, on the 24th of June 2013, 7 years after the first incident, the Mailoni brothers were captured and shot dead. It was two brothers, a friend, and an army officer who were part of a search party, and they were going up and down in the bush looking for these men. Kali Pentala actually gave his account. He was part of the search party. So he said that on the evening of the 24th, he smelled fire. And he turned to one of the people he was with and he says, "I smell fire." And it took the person some time to get what he meant. But then he realized that the smell of fire means there's people somewhere near here. And it wasn't an area that was occupied by anybody. So they assumed it was the fugitives. So they decided to sniff around, following the Tukoma River, trailing downwards from the top of a cliff, along the river, looking around. The river was dry at the time that this took place, and it happened on the bed of the dry Tukoma River at about 15 hours, according to their account. The ambush took place and the three brothers were shot dead. I understand that even though there was outrage, not outrage, that's the wrong word to use. Even though some people were questioning why they didn't try to bring the brothers in alive and maybe have them go to court and go to jail, but with the speculation of witchcraft in the area, I think when the search party found, because the search party was only 4 people, and these were people going against notorious murderers, and it was 4 against 3. That's not that sure of a fight. So it's understandable why they decided to shoot and not try to capture, especially with, as I said, the witchcraft question. Maybe they were worried that if they hesitated, maybe tried to tie them up, took time, they would end up getting harmed. After they were killed, the public reaction is pretty funny. Okay, they were obviously very relieved, right? So I watched an interview. I'll see if I can insert it. I'll have to find out if it'll get copyrighted or anything. But when they asked the people in the valley how they felt, the people were like, "We're so happy they're dead." And so the people basically said the government shouldn't waste money buying coffins for these people. Or they were like, "Ukushi Mbokoshi." I didn't know that they call coffins Mbokoshi. That's so funny. They were like, yeah, government shouldn't waste money Ukushi Mbokoshi to bury these criminals. They should just burn their bodies. So you can imagine how they felt about these people, for them to have such a strong opinion on how their bodies should be dealt with. Regardless, the bodies were buried, but nobody knows where they were buried. And basically the mother of the boys seemed indifferent about the whole thing when she was interviewed, and she was like, well, they killed other people, so I guess they deserve to be dead. And she said that the army, when they buried the boys, or the men, before they buried the boys, went to the mother and said, when we bury them, we'll let you personally know where they're buried, because I don't know why they wanted to be a secret. I don't know. But yeah, so when they spoke to the mother later in an interview or something, she was like, yeah, they deserve to be dead, I guess. I just wish I knew where they were buried, because they told me that they would come tell me after they buried them. They told me where they would lay their bodies, but they didn't. But I don't really care. So yeah, she was like, it's whatever that they didn't tell me. Yeah, that's the story of the Mailoni brothers. But before we wrap it up, let's get into the witchcraft theory. I didn't want to put it into the story because it's not the main thing about this, Before I speak about this witchcraft thing. What usually happens in Zambia is that when something can't be explained, people just jump and say it's witchcraft. That's why I didn't want to put it in, because like I said, they couldn't explain how they managed to evade being captured for 7 years in such a small area. So people were like, nah, obviously they're using witchcraft, right? And one of the witchcraft theories, the first one, is that they were like not very normal. I was about to say mad. So they had mental health issues because they were trying to get rich. So they went to a witch doctor in efforts to get rich. And if you've heard anything about witchcraft, you have to follow the instructions like to a T. Otherwise it won't work, or it'll like work on you but not the way it's supposed to work. So they got mental health issues because they went to a witch doctor trying to get rich, but they didn't follow the instructions properly. So because of that, they were believed to not be very normal. Fabiano's wife reported that he would leave in the middle of the night and come back without like explaining where he went, and when she would ask, he would beat her up and call her a Satanist. Yeah, so it said that they used to turn into trees, and the people looking for them would just walk right past them, not knowing that this tree right here is your boy. It said that they could turn into animals, so they would turn into lions and scare people. So basically, when the armed forces would go into like the bush to try and look for them, they would turn into animals like lions and then scare the people away. It's also said that they survived on human blood, so they didn't need to like, they could go a long time without eating because there was a lot of time between their episodes. So they were wondering what they were eating when they were living in the bush or like in hiding, whatever. But so it said that they would kill and then feed on the blood. I don't know, man. So they would be able to go a long time without eating after their kill. Yeah. Their legs would like turn into the legs of an animal so that they could move around a lot and like run fast without getting tired. Some of these theories, man. Anyway, Fabiano's wife also used to say that he's the one who used to like disappear in the middle of the night. His wife said he would forget who she was. Like he just wouldn't know who she was some days or certain times of the day. At some point, there's an account that says he lived in total isolation and he never used to bath and he wasn't okay. So he was like the leader. Fabiano Tundi was like the leader and the most ruthless of the three. The conclusion about why they used to do what they used to do was that they were power hungry, and I don't know if they had intentions of one day coming out and being rulers or like taking over the area by force because of like the fear that they put in people's hearts, or maybe just the way people were afraid of them and the way they would kill people would give them some form of like feeling of power or whatever. I hope I didn't forget anything. What to mention, among the people they killed or attempted to kill, sorry, was their mother and their brother Friday. So they had tried to kill their brother Friday and they tried to kill their mother once. So there were 10 people that they had attempted to kill that they failed to kill, and among those people was their brother and their mother. So sad. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Hope I didn't forget anything. If I did, I'll try to like squeeze it. But thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, the next one that I'm doing is, there's two that I really like, I'm excited to do. Look at me being excited about murder. But yeah, the next one I'm doing is